It all kicked off with this one extension cord. Looked innocent enough, stretched out from my outside plug right across my yard. At first, I'm thinking maybe some construction guy forgot it, or it's a dumb prank. Nope. It was Karen. This Karen, who thinks she's the queen of our HOA, was flat out stealing my electricity, bold as you please, like my power was some kind of public thing she controlled. When I caught her and yanked the cord, did she say sorry? Heck no. She calls the cops on me. That's when I knew this wasn't just about the electric bill. This was going to be a real battle. What she didn't know was, I had proof. I had it all on video. And pretty soon the whole neighborhood was going to see the biggest HOA fight of the year. If she wanted to play dirty, I was ready to get down and wrestle in the mud. Now, our neighborhood used to be pretty chill, you know? People kept their yards nice, kids rode bikes on the sidewalks, and everyone just kind of nodded hello when they got the mail. Real quiet, until she showed up. Karen, self-appointed boss of the HOA, always with her clipboard, eyes sharp enough to spot a fly at 50 yards. If there was a rule, she was on you about it. If there wasn't a rule, she'd make one up on the spot. And if you even thought about questioning her, buddy, you were in for a long, painful ride. At first, it was small stuff. A note on my door saying my grass was too long, even though I'd just mowed it. A complaint about my mailbox being the wrong color, even though it was exactly the same color as my neighbor's. Didn't matter. Karen had found her new project, me. I tried to just ignore it, right? What's the worst she could do? Then, one night, I'm taking out the trash, and I see this weird thing. This long extension cord running from my house, across the yard. I figured maybe I'd left something plugged in, I don't know. But then I followed it, and I realized the awful truth. It went right to her house. She was stealing my juice. I couldn't believe it at first. Who in their right mind steals power from their neighbor in broad daylight? But there it was, this cord, snaking out of my outside plug, across my lawn, and disappearing into her garage like some kind of leech. So, I pulled the plug right away. Had to be a mistake, right? Maybe she was using it for a minute and forgot to ask. I gave her the benefit of the doubt. That was my first mistake. Next morning, it's plugged in again. So, I go knock on her door. She answers with that same smug look she always has, like she was expecting me. Oh, it's just for my holiday decorations, she says, waving her hand like I'm an idiot. The HOA wants us to be festive. Don't be such a Grinch. Festive spirit? She had a full-sized inflatable Santa, a sleigh with 8 reindeer, and enough Christmas lights to make Vegas jealous. All running on my electricity. So, I calmly told her to stop using my power. She scoffs, rolls her eyes, and slams the door in my face. A couple hours later, I check again. The cord was back. That was it. I unplugged the cord again, but this time I wrapped it all up nice and neat and left it right on her doorstep. Figured that would be enough of a message. But as soon as I turned around, bam, her door flies open. Karen's standing there, hands on her hips, you know, the universal sign of HOA tyranny. Excuse me, she says, but what do you think you're doing? What am I doing? You're stealing my electricity. I shoot back, holding up that tangled cord like it was evidence from a crime show. She just scoffs. Oh, don't be so dramatic. It's just a little power. You wouldn't even notice if you weren't so tight-fisted. Tight-fisted? I was practically lighting up the North Pole for her. I tried to stay calm. I don't care if it's just for a single light bulb. It's my electricity. Stop using it. She crosses her arms. Well, I'm on the HOA board, and the HOA says decorations have to be lit up properly at all times. If your house was festive enough, I wouldn't have to make up for your lack of holiday cheer. That's when it hit me. This wasn't about Christmas lights. This was about her needing to be in control. I wasn't backing down. Find your own power source, Karen. Her eyes narrowed, and she says, real slow and deliberate, like she thought she was above the law. We'll see about that. And that's when Karen officially declared war on me. Word got around quick. By the next morning, everyone in the neighborhood knew about Karen's little electricity scheme. Some folks thought it was hilarious. Others whispered that it was just a matter of time before she did something even worse. Ethan, my neighbor next door, leaned over the fence while I was having my coffee on the porch. She's gone completely nuts, he muttered. Just last week, she told me my recycling bins weren't aesthetically pleasing enough for the neighborhood. Claire from across the street joined in when she heard us talking. She sent me a warning because my garden gnome wasn't following HOA guidelines. A garden gnome. Turns out Karen had been on this power trip for years, bullying people into following rules that didn't even exist. But stealing electricity? That was a new low, even for her. Some neighbors were telling me to fight back. She's finally messing with the wrong guy, Ethan said, grinning. You've got the proof. Take her down. Others were too scared to make her mad. Just let it go, one guy whispered. She'll make your life miserable if you push back. But the thing is, I wasn't the one pushing. Karen was. Because that afternoon, I find a letter from the HOA taped to my door. A violation notice. For what? Unauthorized tampering with HOA-approved decorations. Karen had officially turned the HOA into a weapon against me. And if she thought I was just going to roll over and take it, she had another thing coming. Karen was losing it. It wasn't enough that she stole my electricity. Now she's using the HOA like her personal attack dog to punish me for standing up to her. The violation notice was complete nonsense, but that didn't matter one bit. Karen only had one goal, to make my life miserable until I caved in. But she seriously underestimated me. I started gathering evidence right away. First, I documented everything. Pictures, videos, timestamps. Every single time I unplugged that extension cord. Every time she plugged it back in. I even set up a security camera pointed right at my yard, because I knew she wasn't about to give up. Then, I started going to the HOA meetings. Karen hated that. She shows up at the next meeting with this huge binder labeled Neighborhood Offenders and spends the whole time ranting and raving about how I disrespect the community guidelines. I just calmly pull out my laptop. That's interesting, Karen, I say, because I have some footage I'd like to share with everyone. And I hit play. On the screen, there's Karen, sneaking around at night, plugging into my outlet like some villain from a bad heist movie. The room just exploded. People were gasping. Others were laughing. The HOA board members were whispering to each other. Even the few folks who usually took Karen's side were quiet as church mice. But Karen? She was absolutely fuming. Her face turned bright red and she starts sputtering. That's out of context. This is an attack against me. I was only doing what's best for the neighborhood. One of the board members frowned. Karen, you can't just steal someone's electricity. That's against the law. That's when Karen completely lost it. She slams her hands on the table. You're all against me, she screams. I am the HOA. I make the rules. Silence. Then someone in the back mutters, not anymore. Because right then, the HOA president pulls out a notice of his own. Karen was being voted out. Starting immediately. Her reign of terror? Over. And the best part? As she stormed out of the room, one of the board members hands her a piece of paper. It was a violation notice. For stealing electricity. Karen's downfall was epic. After she stomped out of the HOA meeting, clutching that violation notice, the whole room was buzzing with laughter that people were barely holding in. The queen of HOA tyranny had finally been kicked off her throne, and justice was served up in the best way possible. But Karen wasn't finished causing problems. The next morning, I wake up and there's a police car parked right outside my house. I open the door, and sure enough, there's 2 cops and Karen. She actually called the cops on me. This man has been harassing me. She whines, fake tears ready to go. He's been messing with my property and breaking HOA rules. One of the officers turns to me, looking like he's already heard enough nonsense for one day. Sir, do you know why we're here? I just smirk. Yeah, I have a pretty good idea. Without another word, I pull out my phone and show them the video footage. Karen, sneaking into my yard, plugging into my outlet. Over and over again. The officers watch in silence. Then one of them turns to Karen and says, Ma'am, this is you stealing electricity. Her face turns the color of spoiled milk. But I'm on the HOA board. The rules. The officer just sighs. Ma'am, HOA rules don't mean you can break state law. This is theft. Karen completely lost it again. She ranted, she raved, she demanded they arrest me instead. One of the officers actually had to walk her away as she screamed about how she was being victimized. And just like that, Karen was officially toast. The officers told me to file a report if she tried anything else, but I didn't have to. After that humiliating scene, Karen just vanished from public life. No more violation notices. No more dumb complaints. No more sneaking around trying to steal my electricity. The HOA was free. And as the word spread, something amazing happened. That night, the whole neighborhood put up extra Christmas lights. Brighter, flashier, more ridiculous than ever. And you know which house was the only one completely dark? Karen's. Karen never bounced back. After that public meltdown, her failed attempt to use the cops, and getting booted from the HOA board in spectacular fashion, she did what all defeated bad guys do. She disappeared. No more patrolling with her clipboard. No more dramatic violation notices. No more evil glares from across the street. She still lived in the neighborhood, but it was like she'd been exiled. The once feared dictator of the cul-de-sac was now just another neighbor, one that nobody even acknowledged. And honestly, life was better than it ever was before. The HOA, now run by someone actually reasonable, stopped bugging people over stupid stuff. No more ridiculous fines. No more complaints about mailbox colors or garden gnomes. People actually started talking to each other again, without having to worry about Karen hiding in the bushes, ready to jump out. One evening, I'm sitting on my porch, enjoying the peace and quiet, and my neighbor Ethan wanders over. He looks over at Karen's house, where the curtains are pulled tight, then back at me. "You did it," he says with a grin. "You slayed the HOA dragon." I just chuckled. I just unplugged her power trip. And with that, we clinked our drinks together in victory. Karen was finally gone from our lives. The grass grew as long as it wanted. The mailboxes stood tall and proud. And best of all, we all learned how to keep our driveways Karen-proof. Hey, you ever had a Karen in your neighborhood? What's the craziest thing they ever did? If you caught someone stealing your electricity, how would you deal with it? Would you be petty or get the lawyers involved? What's the most ridiculous HOA rule you've ever heard of? Should I have gotten revenge in a more creative way? Drop your best ideas down below. Team ignore Karen or team fight back? What would you have done in this situation? If you enjoyed watching Karen get a taste of her own medicine, make sure you smash that like button, because every like helps keep neighborhood dictators in check. Got your own Karen horror story? Drop it in the comments. I read them all. And if you never want to miss another wild HOA meltdown, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. Witnessed. Share this video with someone who's been through an HOA nightmare, because we all know someone who's dealt with this kind of craziness.